I'm going to do a couple of little lessons today. So I'm going to wait for my Instagram folks to join up. And it looks like we're almost there. I'm Andrea with Go Diaper Free. It's been a while. I've gone to the beach a couple times, got me a nice tan. Today, we are going to talk about 4 different things. So as you join us, let me know how old your baby is. Is easy going well? Give me a thumbs up, a sideways, or a thumbs down. Okay. Let me begin with our first topic. Are you guys ready? The first one is this. So, how do we handle changes in pottying as our baby develops? How do we handle the ups and downs of EC? I'm sure those of you watching and listening right now have had some ups and downs with EC, right? How do we handle the changes? Because the only constant in life is change, right? The first way we can handle change with pottying our babies, if something is just starting to just go berserk, everything was working, you're catching all the poops, now you're not catching any, or your baby's resisting, or whatever it may be, something has changed. The first thing I want you to try is to change the location where you're pottying them. Oftentimes, babies will start to really want to go to the bathroom where you go to the bathroom. So if you're pottying them in a top hat potty on your bed, for example, in the middle of the night, your baby might start to not like that. They might actually want to be in the bathroom. The smell and the sound and the feeling of being in the bathroom, they might start associating that with going potty as well. And they also know that everybody else goes here. So why am I going on the bed? This doesn't make any sense. So first suggestion for you guys is to change the location. If we are pottying in one bathroom, we might change to the other bathroom. If we are pottying in a mini potty in the living room, we might pause that for just a little while, start taking them to a toilet seat reducer in the big bathroom. Or a mini potty, same mini potty, just move it to the bathroom. They literally start to go, hey, why am I pottying in the living room when everybody else is pottying in the bathroom? As one example. The other location you can change to, of course, is to go outside. And going outside does not mean you're permanently going to have your baby potty outside. It just means that for right now, our baby is super distracted with all the developmental things, all of life, and everything is rapidly changing in months 0 through 12, especially. We want to just bring them outside, squat over the grass, say something, do something, distract them. Mother Nature is amazing at helping our children to relax and to feel a little bit more calm. Now, if they want to crawl off and explore whatever's in the yard, then you're going to probably have to do something silly like I did with my first baby, which is sing a little nonsense song or sing a song or just get their attention somehow by saying, hey, look, do you see that tree way over there? How about that bird up in the sky? Psst, and do the cue at the same time. Okay, so number one, when things change with EC as your baby develops, we want to roll with that by trying to change the location. Okay. The second thing we want to try to do is to change the receptacle. So if the whether, and honestly, guys, I would definitely recommend you try one of these things for a couple of days and then try changing the next thing just to see and be able to compare. But if you want to change them all at the same time, that's fine too. But if we change the receptacle, we're going to find out that sometimes babies really want to be higher or lower or in your arms or not in your arms or facing you or facing away or facing the mirror or facing outside. There are literally a million different ways to do this, and no one way is going to be right, okay? So you're not doing anything wrong, but what we want to do is try to change the receptacle to see if your baby responds well to that. This is literally all an experiment, okay? So if you're using the mini potty and they start to crawl off of it every 5 seconds, you're going to want to use a toilet seat reducer on the big toilet. Or maybe you want to go back to using the top hat potty for a little while, sitting with them in your lap while you sit on your bed. Maybe you're going from the top hat potty to a mini potty and you just hold them on it or over it. There could be a million different ways. We can start using the Potty Plus over the grass with, I don't have it on me, but there is one. The Potty Plus is an open bottom, or you can get the rubber replaceable insert or reusable insert. For that, you can just prop those legs up of the potette onto the grass and have them go there. There's something novel about going on the grass where they also are able to sit if you're not doing in-arms holds for whatever reason. So again, this practice is super flexible. It's always a good idea that as things change while babies develop to try changing the receptacle because you might get a better result with something else. And there are so many receptacles, but obviously the ones I recommend the most are my mini potty at tinyundies.com because it is so short that baby can feel the earth under his or her feet. And that makes them feel secure so that they don't feel like they're dangling somewhere and they can actually practice standing up and down. But also the top hat potty. If you don't have one of those and you've just been pottying over the sink and you've got a rather small baby, it's a game changer. I think you would agree if you have one. Okay, so number one was change the location. Number two is change the potty. The third piece of advice, the third thing you can change is change the backup. I know some of you might be getting heart palpitations from the idea of changing from a diaper to something else, but hear me out. Sometimes babies pee freely if they're in a cloth diaper. Sometimes they won't signal at all if they're in a disposable diaper. Sometimes babies will go all over the place if they're naked from the waist down. And then once you put them in undies, they don't go at all and they signal really strongly. Some babies do better in trainers. It's literally impossible for me to diagnose what could be wrong with your baby's backup. But if you change it and try it as just an experiment for a couple of days and really keep the calm going on, okay? Keep relaxed and keep calm. You're going to find out some information. And some information is better than nothing. And worst case scenario, changing the location, the potty, or the backup is just going to just alter or shift the mundane into something new and interesting for your baby. And that might get you through a little bit of a resistant hump or a disinterested hump or whatever hump you're on right now. Okay, so changing the backup, I do have an entire blog post about that and which backups I used over all 5 of my babies, day and night, when I stopped using what, when I switched to what. But honestly, every single time on those graphics that you'll see there at that blog post, every single change I made was because I wanted my baby to either signal more, stay dry longer, or I felt like it was just time to move on. And that really, with the third, fourth, and fifth babies, happened a lot. But with the first and the second, it was way more of an experiment. Okay. So, again, I just want to remind you this is literally an experiment of, hey, what might work now? I want you to try one thing at a time and just see what happens. And if it helps you to write it down so that you can compare before and after, great. And if you are a book owner, you can go on our book owners forum and ask any of our coaches and say, hey, I need an accountability buddy. I want to change some things. Can you help me walk me through this? And they're all trained to do that. The other thing I want you to do as your baby develops, besides trying to change different things to try to shake it up a little bit and get it to stay interesting, you might want to do, and I highly recommend, a fresh observation session. So as your baby develops, they're going to pee at shorter intervals. Their poop is going to consolidate as well. And you are going to probably need to get updated by doing some observation logging. I do have a new app called The Log. It has a poop emoji on it as the icon. Can't miss it. It's on iOS and Android. You can grab that and just tap every time they wake or feed and every time they poop or pee, and you can add notes to that. We're constantly updating this app. So if you have any suggestions, don't leave a bad review. Just email us and send us your suggestions, and we always have our developer update the app to what you guys want. And it'll spit out a chart or it'll spit out an observation log, so you don't actually have to type anything out. Or you can get my observation log on my website, and I will link to that as well. But basically, a fresh session is going to give you new information on how often your baby goes now. And I'm going to cover that on the next lesson, how often will my baby pee? So stay tuned for that. Have a beginner's mind, though, and a learner's mindset. EC is so beautiful in that, just like breastfeeding, it allows us to learn and connect with our unique baby even better. And that is priceless. There is so much more. There are many deeper levels that you learn from doing EC. So if you have a beginner's mindset, you're going to be open to learning. And this becomes more of a conversation as opposed to I need to do it this way. And if I don't do it this way, then I'm wrong kind of a thing. I also want you to listen in to see what baby is needing, but also listen in to yourself to see what your intuition is trying to tell you to guide you. So for example, if I mentioned anything already in today's lesson and you went, whoa, yeah, that sounds great. I've never thought of that. Or I was going to think I was going to do that. I thought about that the other day. That's your intuition. So listen to that. I also want you to kind of take the pressure off. If you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed by EC right now, just downgrade a little bit. to just one or two of the easy catches. There have been periods in all 5 of my babies' lives, all of their babyhoods, where I've been like, I am just getting the morning pee or I'm just getting the poops, and I feel like a failure. If that's you, I want you to know that from looking back and also helping hundreds of thousands of other parents with the same practice, that this will not last forever. Downgrading is not failing. It's just like, I'm just going to simplify. I'm only going to do the morning peas. I'm only going to do the poops. I'm only going to do the diaper changes, whatever it is for you. And I can link to those easy start guide related 4 easy catches. It's all on the same page. But I want you to try to simplify if that's you. And next, I want you to celebrate these changes. Your baby is developing, your baby is moving and changing and just growing, and that is something amazing. Instead of seeing it as a challenge, see it as, oh my gosh, my baby is maturing, and that means I'm doing my job as a parent and things are going well. Development is a good sign, you guys. This is a wonderful time to be with your baby. Doing EC probably doubles or triples your touch time and your interaction time with your baby, so just enjoy it. And I want you to zoom out just a little bit too. We are not raising a peeing, pooping machine here. We want to look at the whole baby, and the whole baby deserves attention, not just what's coming out the other end. And lastly, and this is kind of unrelated, but kind of totally related, also from experience, is I want you to get a break for yourself. Even 5 minutes a day, even closing yourself in the closet and going and breathing by yourself for 5 minutes while your baby is playing safely in the other room. Or maybe have daddy take the baby if that's a possibility, and you can go on a short walk. Every single day, this 5 minutes will go a long, long way in your self-care. And then you can get a break and go, okay, now that I don't have a baby attached to me 24/7, I have 5 minutes to think. And I actually feel like I'm just going to change to the big toilet, and that's my next move. It is amazing how fast you can become clear if you just take a moment for yourself. So that was all about how to handle changes as your baby develops. Our next lesson is coming soon. I'm going to take a little sip of water here. If you haven't typed in the chat, how old is your baby and are things going good, so, or bad right now? I would love to see that. And I see a lot of you over here on Instagram. Hello, everybody. All right, so we're doing 4 different lessons today. The first one was how to handle changes as your baby develops. That will appear on my podcast soon, and also on my YouTube, and also on IGTV. So you will see it all. And there will be, I'm going to keep this up when this is over. So if you're watching on Instagram or YouTube, you're going to see this right when it's finished. Okay, let's go on to the second topic for today, you guys. Now we're going to talk about let me start over. 1 second. I would like to talk to you guys about how often your baby will go pee. This is something that I get asked all the time, because once you take the diaper off and there you've started EC, it's literally that simple. What can you expect? I mean, how in the world would you know how often a baby pees if you've never done EC before and you maybe just found out about me and you're just like, whoa, I don't even know what the reality holds here. So I'm going to give you a range. Newborns starting at every 10 minutes, all the way up to 18 months, going up as high as 90 minutes. Some of you guys might have babies who are holding it for 4 hours at that age. Very rare, but definitely a possibility. And then poop. We're going to talk poop, okay? This is pretty simple. If you're in any of my programs, I have these brand new programs that are divided up by age. They go in way more depth than my book. My book covers everything as if you're starting at any age, 0 to 18 months. These programs, which is the first one is the golden window for newborns. The second one is movers and shakers for mobile babies. And the third one is passing the baton for young toddlers, where we kind of start and finish. So I break it down really, really detailed, but not too long in those. And all of those programs come with this really awesome map. It's a roadmap of what to expect during EC. So these are excerpted from those programs. All right, first let's talk about newborns, 0 to 2.5 months. We're going to have about 10 to 15 minute intervals between pees. The good news is your baby's going to be sleeping a lot. Not that we want our baby asleep all the time, because we definitely want to hold and cuddle and do all that, but we're also recovering our bodies as well, right? We don't want to be pottying all the time. With a newborn, as I state in my program, and I also mention everywhere else I talk about this, We really want to go for the wake up pees. And if that's all you catch, that's great. We're going with nature here, and that is the way it works. We have hormones that support this, and it can really make you feel success. But know that you're probably going to nurse or feed when they wake up. And at a newborn age, within 5 to 10 minutes after nursing, you're going to have another pee. So sometimes, and it depends on how long your baby takes to nurse. Obviously, every baby's different. But then after that one, whenever after you nurse or feed your baby, after they've woken up, you've pottied them, you put them on, they're eating, they pop off the breast or the bottle, or maybe they have their first fuss after feeding. That's a signal. You should probably take them to potty then. But from then on, I kind of go for every other one because it's a lot to be pottying between every 10 to 15 minutes, right? With poop at this age, we've got anywhere from 17 times a day to once every 7 days. That's for an exclusively breastfed baby. With a formula-fed baby, and absolutely no judgment here. I understand some people have to use formula, some people choose it. There's no judgment here at all. But it's going to change the poop. The poop will be different with a formula-fed baby. It's going to be more regular because you've got the same formula every time. Breast milk actually is produced based on what your baby needs right now. There is this interchange of information between your breast, your nipple, your areola, and your baby's mouth that communicates somehow amazingly exactly what your baby needs. If they're sick, if they're developing in a certain way or whatever, they need a little bit more of something one day. Your body knows that and gives your baby that. So that is why the poop will vary with a newborn baby. And the color will range from yellow to green, depending on if you have fore milk or hind milk. Okay, so 10 to 15 minutes for peeing for newborns. At 3 to 5.5 months or so, you're going to go up to about 15 to 20 minutes. Every 15 to 20 minutes of pee, you still are totally fine to go for every other one if you want to, because that's quite often. This also depends on the baby. So if you want to get my app called The Log with a little poop emoji, you can get that and you can do observation time and find out your own baby's unique timing. But this is an interval that's pretty common in our audience. Poop also varies if you've got an exclusively breastfed baby, just like with newborns. Now, at 6 months, oftentimes we have started solids at this point. I have a great interview with Katie of the Baby Led Wean team on my podcast if you want to check that out. That's one way of starting solids. And also she talks about what indicators you would follow to know if you should start solids. But around this time, they're going to be peeing every 20 to 30 minutes. And they're going to be pooping daily if they're on solids, typically. And again, this is an average, but 1 to 2 days every day is good. If it's more than every other day, less often than every other day, or less often than every day, you might have some bouts of constipation, which I also have a podcast on that. We want babies to be as regular as possible. Every day is ideal. And if the poop is a little bit soft, that's ideal as well. Hard poops hurt. So it's just better to have softer poops. At 9 months, we're going for about 30 minutes average for pee. So every 30 minutes on average. And again, when they wake up, it might be more often. Oftentimes the baby will partially, relieve their bladder, and then a couple minutes later will relieve again. And that's covered in my book as well. It's pretty normal. If they've started solids, they're probably going to be pooping daily. Now, at 1 year old, we've got about 30 to 45 minutes as the average interval for pee and poop happening daily, because I'm assuming we're started solids by then. 15 months old, every 45 minutes to an hour for pee, and then also poop daily. And if they're occupied and busy with some kind of work, children's work is very important to them and their focus is very important, they will usually hold it longer, but they'll also hold it longer if they're around other babies, other children, and other people. If they're in a social setting, this interval could expand. Now, at 18 months, you've got about 45 minutes to 90 minutes, so an hour and a half for pee intervals. This is way different, right, from newborn till then. That's because the bladder has grown. The bladder is born with good muscle tone. So that's a myth that says, oh, it needs to gain muscle tone as you go. No, your babies are perfectly formed when they're born. It's just going to get bigger. So it's going to have a greater capacity. And also the nutrients from whatever you're feeding them are going to take a little bit longer to go through the body because the body's bigger, but also because we're eating and processing more complex foods at this point. And again, poop will probably be daily at this time. So that is a little snippet about how often your baby will pee. If you want other information broken down by the stage that your baby is currently in, definitely check out the programs at godiaperfree.com/store. You can click on programs and you will see the programs there as well. Hopefully that helps. All right, if you've just joined me, we're doing 4 lessons today. And actually, 1, 2, 3, we might do 5 if my voice holds. I'm going to take a sip of water. Please put there in the chat how old your baby is and whether EC's going good, thumbs up, so, sideways, or just thumbs down. It's sucking right now. Sorry. I know some of you have toddlers. It's stinking right now. And if it is stinking and you have my book, then use the support that came with it. Please. They are highly trained just for you. All right, let me go check. The name of the app is The Log. That's Delaney. Oh, and I'm so glad that Clean Eating Selena loves the app. Yay. Your consistency, the Found 88. Oh my gosh, you should check out my podcast episode on how to be consistent with EC. I'm just going to find that one for you right now while I take a little break. Yeah, dealing with inconsistency in EC. That was from November, episode 166. So if you go to godiaperfree.com/166, you'll find that there. And yay, potty training your 12-month-old. That's awesome. Might take just a tiny bit longer at that age just because things are still connecting, but it's a great time to start for sure. And you're going to be finished soon. So consistency for mamas. Looks like it's a theme here. Yay. All right, you guys. And yay, Maddenster is getting her first baby potty. That's great. At 12 months old, the mini potty on Tiny Andes is so key because they can get on and off of it themselves. And they really want to be able to do that. And it is hard with daycare. I do have a blog post on daycare. You guys can always search my blog, godiaperfree.com/blog, or click on the link in the bio for Instagram. You will see a lot of things. Just search any word and you'll find a ton of resources. And good. Okay, I'm going to go back to the live stream. Let me fix my ponytail. So if you're just joining me, I'm going through 4 different lessons today, and these will all be repurposed on the podcast, YouTube, and on Instagram. So you will be able to see them if you didn't get to. So far today, we've talked about how to handle changes as your baby develops and how often will my baby pee. All right. Let's go for number 3. And actually, I might do number 3 and then hop off because I have an interview with my imports role. We've hired 4 new people over the last couple of weeks. It's been terribly busy, which is why I haven't done one of these in a while. But it's a good thing. So we can just serve you guys better and make sure to get, like, our potties are flying off the shelves at Amazon, which is awesome. But it's also a little bit challenging to keep up. Okay, I'm going to do this 3rd one. Then I'm going to hop off and do this interview. And then I'll come back in about an hour around 3 p.m. Eastern and come back and teach you 2 more things, which will be wet pants, okay or not okay, and potty milestones, which is really, really, really important. But right now, we're going to talk about the nature of assisting babies with the toilet. So assisting babies with the toilet is a Montessori concept. I want to read a couple of quotes to you from Maria Montessori herself to start off on this topic. And this really, if you haven't looked into Montessori at all, I highly recommend a book called Montessori from the Start. That'll give you a nice little intro to Montessori. But EC is very much in alignment with Montessori, although we start earlier. All right, she said in 1946, we must help children from the very beginning. We must give them the right environment because they have to adapt themselves to a strange new world. So you guys, the potties are not natural. Going to the bathroom on a potty is not natural, but wanting to go not on your caregiver, not on yourself, not in your bed is 100% natural. So setting up the environment for success with the right potties. If you don't have them, please visit me at tinyandes.com. But you got to have the environment set up for ease of helping the child help themselves. Another quote from Maria, to give our children a fine start in life, we must see that their surroundings satisfy their need for activity and development, remembering at the same time that our own part is not that of instructor and interferer, but of helper. Again, we're assisting our babies by doing EC training with something that they can't do by themselves until they can do it by themselves. And even then, we're still assisting a little bit more as needed, of course. But we're not the interferer and we're not the instructor. We're the helper. We're helping to aid the natural instincts for independence in this. Another one, the adult must not interfere, must not act instead of the child. Give him the means and let him act. His freedom consists of this. So Maria was very much about freedom. I'm the same kind of person. Love my own freedom, my children to feel free, and also not doing things for my kids that they can do themselves. There's one little exception to this. I've been reading the 5 love languages for children, and I do have a couple of children who are, their love language is acts of service. So sometimes they're like, I can't put my shoes on. I'm like, you're 7. Yes, you can. They just want me to show them I love them. So I put their shoes on and they feel filled up. So little bitty thing I wanted to insert there, but give him the means and let him act. Great. Because if we do everything for our children when they're capable of doing it themselves, we are robbing them of the opportunity to live and breathe in an autonomous manner. And then they're dependent on us. And then when we send them off when they're 18, 20, whatever, they can't function and we wonder why. So we want to not act instead of the child. And Maria says, the child sees the same action repeated at the same time every day in the same way. This attracts his attention. Children have a sense of the succession of activities in time. It is like a muscular memory, a memory of movement and of time. This is from the 1946 London Lectures, page 131. And oh my goodness, doesn't that resonate with what we're doing with EC? When we just do the 4 easy catches, and we figure out which ones are we going to offer if we're doing part-time EC, which most people do. I'm going to offer at wake-ups. I'm going to offer at every diaper change. I'm going to offer when I see the signal for a poop or a sign of a poop. I'm going to offer before putting them in or taking them out of something. The 4 easy catches. This is the same action repeated the same time in the same way every day. This does attract their attention. And it also, doing the whole routine, and I don't have my board book handy, but my board book, Tiny Potty, talks about the whole routine. And we have this succession of activities that really attracts our children. It builds their muscle memory. It's really great for them. And the next quote is, we must give him the means and encourage him. Courage, my dear, courage. Encourage means giving someone courage. You are a new man that must adapt to this new world. Go on triumphantly. I am here to help you. This kind of encouragement is instinctive in those who love children, which is all of you. But yeah, encouraging is different from rewarding or coercing or persuading. Encouraging is giving them the courage by giving them the means, which is setting up the environment for them, being intentional and repetition in your movements and your timing, and just loving on them by wanting them to succeed and showing them that with what we're doing. I am here to help you. I love that. And the next one is, imitation is the tool given by nature to children to help them adapt to the particular place where they were born. So their culture, their state, country, city, whatever. And that enables them to adapt to the customs of their specific environment. So we use toilets, we wear clothes, we wear underwear. We do stuff like, well, most of us do. We do stuff like that I live in the United States, in Asheville, North Carolina. So what does my child need to know to live in this environment? And I'm going to be teaching partially through imitation or partially through modeling, and my children imitate what I model. And that helps with adaptation. So a lot of people criticize, not a lot, but as it becomes a little bit more accessible to more people in the mainstream, EC is seen as coercive or too early or not honoring that a baby is a baby and all these other sound bites. But what it is not is just training and you have to do this. It's helping our children adapt to the environment in which they live, where we use toilets and we wear clothing. And none of us, all mammals, nobody wears their toilet. Nobody. This is a new thing for children, human children. And the last quote I want to share before I just say some words about this is that the child does not work in order to move or in order to become intelligent. He works to adapt to his environment. It is essential that he has many experiences in the environment if he is to do this. So a lot of you have mentioned that you have trouble with consistency, and episode 166 on my podcast totally talks about dealing with your own inconsistencies with EC. And I have wonderful solutions to get you back on track. We all fall off the wagon. But the child does this work. Maria always calls the child's work in order to adapt. And it's essential that they have lots of chances to practice, whether it results in a pee in the potty or not. So that's just a little bit from what she has to say about assisting babies with anything. And what we're talking about today is the toilet. So again, like I already said, we are not potty training. We are assisting and helping our children adapt to their culture. We are not their instructors, although sometimes we do teach them things regarding the toilet. And we are not interfering in the processes. I talk a lot about giving privacy and how to do that. We really want to support. We are their helpers. We want to assist by setting up the environment for success. So in my new version of my book, Go Diaper Free, there's a photo gallery of all of these different potty stations. I also have that in my Movers and Shakers program. So you can see visually all the different potty stations that are possible, just having everything there, everything kid size, everything accessible and reachable, and nothing that they shouldn't be messing with near them. We want to assist by believing in them, encouraging. We have this mindset and attitude towards our babies that they are capable. They are capable, and we know this because in 1957, 92% of babies and toddlers in the United States were finished with toilet training by 18 months old. Now that has over doubled because of the diaper companies. Clearly, they have been marketing the crap out of those stupid things and have really convinced us to wait and wait and wait. But when we realize that that is not natural and letting babies be babies doesn't really add up, we realize that babies are born capable. They are born capable and we don't need to wait for readiness. If you look at the scientific studies, they're all BS. They don't have any basis in what's reliable and valid data. So and were also done by Brazelton, who is a pediatrician who's the head of the University of Pampers. Do the math. So we need to reset our mindset and our attitude from what the culture thinks to this attitude of my baby is totally capable of this and believe in them. That all babies before disposable diapers really took over in the 60s and really before cloth diapers a couple hundred years ago were pottied in this way, which therefore means that all of them are capable. We just have to learn as the parents. And that's where I come in. I will help you with that. We want to assist them as their helper by showing them how to do the whole routine. Also by showing them how to be in this world by being ourselves. We use a toilet, we use clothing, we do this and that. And repetition with taking them to the potty, even if it's just one time a day that you can be consistently. We want to assist them by prompting and reminding them in a nonverbal way. So I spent some time in Africa many, many years ago, and they just didn't really talk about anything with their babies much. They just acted and did things with their babies. And these moms were amazing. You could tell they were pros. They would take their baby in nonverbal ways and just take care of things. And these babies were totally happy. I was only 20, mind you, so that was my unscientific analysis of the situation. But I did notice that there was a lot of nonverbal communication. And if you watch the documentary called Babies, other cultures talk way less than we do in America, at least. And the last thing is we want to be their helpers by assisting them by wiping and helping them to pull their pants up and down until they can do it on their own, and by demonstrating how to do that, including how to mount the potty. And all of that stuff in my Passing the Baton program, which is for 12 to 18-month-olds, there is, I include the Isadora Teaches video library. It's a private video series of when my daughter was 3 years old, teaching your child how to get on and off the potty, how to pull pants up and down. It's a really popular series for all of our book owners who have the Tiny Potty Training book. I've included it in the Passing the Baton program because it's really, between 12 and 18 months is really a good time to start teaching those things. And that is one way we can assist them. We're not just teaching them like math out of the blue at 2 years old. Instead, we are teaching them how to do part of a process that they're trying to master already. I hope that that makes sense. So that is a little bit about the nature of assisting babies with the toilet, a la Maria Montessori. I hope you found that very helpful. All right, now I'm going to go off the air for about an hour, and then I will be back with 2 more things: wet pants, okay or not okay, and potty milestones. Hopefully you can join me for those. There will also be replays later on. Thank you guys so much.